What's up, YouTube? Let's talk about hiring people. If you're tired of wasting your time trying to hire people in the service-based industry business and they don't show up, they're not qualified, they can't actually do what they say they're going to do, and you're tired of running around chasing dead ends with hiring new employees, this is the video for you. I'm going to show you the exact process we use to screen people out before we even let them apply. And by the end of this video, even if you've never hired anyone before, you're going to have everything you need to be able to hire wisely and choose the best people for your positions without wasting your time. Everything we're going to talk about in this video is going to be linked in the description below so that you can use it in your business as well. All right, so like I said, before we even let someone apply to work for our company, we go through what's called an initial telephone screening questionnaire. And I have basically 11 things. It's really 10 questions. The 11th thing is inviting them. But so basically I introduce myself, I say who we are and a brief description of what we do, ask them if it's a good time to talk. Politeness is always the key. You want to make sure that you're engaging with the person when they have the ability to respond to you and speak freely and they're not at work or they're not doing this. And you want to be able to make sure that you get the answers you need during this process so you're not wasting your time. Then we give a brief description of how complete contracting works, how we operate, what type of work we do, and where we work. Then we ask them point blank, does this sound like something you'd be interested in doing? Is it something you've done in the past? And is it something that you're capable of doing? Then we ask if they're currently working. They tell us if they are, they tell us if they aren't. Then we'll ask more questions following up to that, like what are you doing at your current employment? Are you doing the same type of things that we're doing? If no, or did you leave the field for a reason? You know, we just try to get a feel for why they stopped doing what they were doing if they are working in the trades the way that we are. Next, very important question for us. Everyone we hire has to be able to drive for us. So we say, do you have a valid driver's license? And do you have a positive driving record? You can't really ask more questions than that, but you can ask those two general questions on the phone to find out whether or not you're wasting your time. Then you should ask, is there anything we need to know? Not personal, you don't have to tell us, but if you feel like telling us anything you need to know about yourself that we should know why we should hire you, maybe they'll say something that you know will exclude them. Try not to ask too many questions like about their background and criminal history and all those types of things. You'll be able to find all that out when you get to the next part of this process. But this part is just to get people that can't drive, can't do the job, that you don't think from talking to them are capable of doing the job the way that you would want them to do or communicate with your customers the way you want them to communicate. And then we're going to tell them, hey, look, we've gotten this far. Give me a good email address for you. I'm going to email you over an invitation to come down to our office and fill out an application. The application that we use is also going to be linked in the description below. It's a pretty basic application, so not too much to go over on that. But we also go ahead when they apply, give them to fill out their W-4, their VA-4, and their emergency contact form. That's just things that we keep in our HR file. We'll have all that stuff available for download in the link below so that you can have it. Once you get through the questions and the person comes and they take the initiative, they fill out the form and they answer the questions. When they apply for us, they also have to fill out a driver form, which we're going to make a video about later. But if they go through all that process and they stay on the phone with you for 5 minutes and they talk to you, they give you an email, you email them, they respond, they come in, they fill out the application. Adding that step to the process eliminates 80 to 90% of the people that are just going to walk in, fill out an application, and have no business working for your company. Doing it this way will help. It'll help you get qualified applicants and it'll help you get qualified technicians in your van faster so you can build more money. Brian, you have questions?
So, I do. When you were starting your business, obviously, all these forms and documents that were given out, you didn't have any of that.
Right.
So, what was the deciding factor that made you realize that you needed to change the hiring process and do the pre-screening with the phone interview and then go through the steps to make them come in and physically fill out the application and fill out the forms to show that they were serious about it?
Deciding that we needed the forms, we always had some type of application-ish, even if it was like a one-page thing or if it was in person where I sat down and talked to someone. Initially, when I started my company, much like most of you, if you've already started yours or if you haven't yet, you're going to be hiring people that you know or people that you know recommend to you. And you're going to interview them usually verbally and not really in writing. But as your company grows and you get one employee or two employees, you're going to be okay for a little while. But once you get past two employees and yourself, you have to have workman's comp. And to have workman's comp, to go through the audits for that every year, you're going to have all this paperwork in place. So really it's hitting that number and getting your first workman's comp audit that's going to hit you with, these are the papers that you have to have on file for your employees.
How much time and or money does this save you a month, do you think? If you could put a number on it.
Time it saves me personally doing, if I were to be doing this part of the job, it probably wouldn't save a whole lot of time. It actually kind of adds time to the front end of the hiring process, but it saves countless dollars in the field by eliminating people that should have never been hired in the first place. To quantify it, one bad employee working for 2 weeks could cost you $3,000 to $5,000 a week based just solely on dragging things out or not completing tasks that they say they're able to complete. So if it takes 2 weeks to weed that person out and you're giving them, generally when you hire someone, you're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. You're going to say, oh, well, maybe he doesn't know how to do this, but he's better at that. Let's try that. Oh, it's not that. Let's try the other thing he said he could do. And by the time you get to the third thing, he just can't do anything he said he could do, or she really. And then you're letting go of them. But now you're 2 weeks into it and you've spent thousands of dollars paying them, and you've had to send somebody else to go finish the job they were doing, which is opportunity costs lost because that person should have been on another job. So lots of money and lots of time for the supervisors in the field.
So it seems like it's a no-brainer, really.
It is definitely a no-brainer.
Okay, so for people who are watching this that are just getting started, what's the biggest mistake that they should avoid as far as the hiring process and creating these documents?
Creating the documents, mistakes to avoid, as long as you have a good application and you have the forms for your state. I know I said VA4, but that's because we're in Virginia and that's the state tax form. So, I don't know what the other states would be called, but figure that out for yourself, whatever state you're in. They're going to be kind of basic. You do have to have an emergency contact form for all employees after you have 10 employees at your company, in Virginia anyway. I don't know. But the initial telephone interview questions, I couldn't tell you how important it is to do this. That way, you know exactly what you're hiring. Even over the phone, those of us that own a business and have hired people, even people that haven't hired anyone, if you've never hired anyone and you're thinking about starting a business, or you have a one-man shop and you're cutting grass every single day and you're like, I can't do these estimates and I can't do these invoices and cut all this grass at the same time, I need to hire my first person. You need to talk to the person before you hire them and figure out whether or not they're going to work for you. Just hiring the first body that fills your doorway looking for work is going to be a disaster 9 times out of 10, and it's going to cost you way more in the long run than you'd cost yourself by doing all the work yourself. And all I could say would be hire the right person for the job. Yes, it's okay to work with friends. I work with friends. I have friends that have worked for me for a very long time. Brian, who's doing this video with me, we've been friends for 30 years. So it's okay to work with friends, but hire who you need for the job. And if you hire your best friend and your best friend isn't capable of doing the job, fire your best friend as soon as you figure that out, because it would just be worse the longer you wait.
So you said something that's a great segue into my next question, and it's definitely talk to the person ahead of time before you hire them. A lot of people starting out haven't gone through this process yet, and you've gone through it probably thousands of times. So you have a lot of empirical data on this next question, which I think is probably the most important question.
Okay.
When you talk to somebody on the phone for their phone interview, what are the key things that you are looking for that are going to say, yes, this person is a good fit for the organization, and what are the red flags, the common red flags that you see? And obviously this is going to be tailored to a little differently for other people's businesses, but for the industry that you're in, what are the red flags that you see where it's like an immediate no?
Well, so luckily or unluckily for us, we run a handyman style business, property maintenance business, really. So we kind of have everything. We have a plumber that works for us. We have framers, we have painters, we have sheetrock guys, and we have tile guys, and we have a roofer, and we have flooring guys. So we kind of hire a bunch of the different trades. It's not like a one trick or one stop shop for like we do HVAC or we do plumbing or we do electrical. So I do have a little bit broader spectrum than that. Some of the trades are a lot easier. Like if you were a plumber or you had a plumbing company and someone's a licensed plumber, they probably know how to do plumbing. If you're an electrician and you own an electrical company and they have their electrical card or their journeyman's card, they probably know how to do electrical work, most of it. Now, the red flags that you're really looking for, I'm willing and have been willing to work with anyone who wants to work. If somebody wants to show up, have a good attitude, and wants to work hard, I'll give them a chance. But the red flags for me, negative attitude, poor ability to speak or answer questions, in a way, I'll just give you an example. So we're hiring a tile setter right now. We were interviewing a guy the other day. When I was talking to him, I said, have you ever done tile before? And he said, maybe, I said, so no. I literally just said, so no, as he said that. He said, well, I did tile one time. I repaired a tile. One time a soap dish, word for word, this is what he said. A soap dish got broken in a bathroom in an apartment I was working at. And I took that soap dish out and I put a piece of tile in its place. And I said, so no, you don't have experience doing tile then. And he said, well, I mean, I did that. So you have to be able to take that conversation and understand this guy's eager to have a job. This guy in particular was out of work, isn't working at the time, wants to have a job. We pay well, so he wants to work for us. He knows other people that work for us. He knows how our company is, and he wants to be there. So he's going to say what he has to say to think that it's going to impress me in a way that I'm going to hire him, whether or not. I'd be better off to hire him if he would have said, not really, I've done a tile repair one time, but I'd love to learn it. That'd be better for me. I would want that person more than I would want the person that's going to just say whatever they think they have to say. So over time of talking to people, you'll figure that out. You call it a BS detector or whatever you want to call it. But you can tell by talking to people. Like I was saying earlier, I think I got off track from it, but whether you've done it 1,000 times or you've done it 0 times, when you go to hire the first person you go to hire, you have common sense. You've been around people. You're going to know the person you're talking to knows what they're talking about or not. And you're going to know whether or not you think you can work with them or not. Does that answer your question?
It does. Yep.
So, like I said, in recap, you don't have to use this one. You don't have to use the one that we're going to offer you to download. Have some type of pre-screen in place so that you're not wasting your time thumbing through applications, talking to people that shouldn't even be there in your office. Pre-screen them first, then invite them to apply, then go from there. All right, that's another video. Come back when you're ready to scale up some more.